Hello everyone. Today I'm going to speak about American and Chinese power after the financial crisis, which is written by Joseph Samuel Nye. Before I'm going to start, let me have an introduction about author Joseph Samuel Nye. He's an American political scientist and also is a distinguished service professor at Harvard University. And he have been dean for the faculty of John F. Kennedy, and also he is the co-founder of International Relations Theory of Neoliberalism. And also he explored transitional relations and world policies, as well as he explained the distinguish between hard power and soft power, and we can say is the pioneer the theory of soft power. As today we are going to have a discussion regarding the soft power. And also he has been the member of Clinton administration, and recently has been working with the Obama administrations to his career is long. He has been working in many different institutions and organizations. Yes, the next. Before I'm going to have a discussion, let me tell you the main argument of the article. What's the main argument of the article? The article discusses the world dominance of the United States as the superpower in relation to the global financial recession of 2008 and 2009. And also the rising influence of China in the world affairs. The other reflects on a decline in United States soft power resulting from the poor performance of Wall Street institutions and the inadequacy of economics regulation, which is happened by the government. And also it is emphasizes is giving to economic interdependence among the nations and economic relations between United States and China. The other topics it includes the bubble condition in United States economy, China's crackdowns on human rights activists, and the inability of China to exercise soft power abroad through films, mass media, and 2008 Olympics. And this presentation is divided in three main parties: the soft power in 21st century in China, the economic interdependence and power, and behavior, the policy implications of misleading projections. And I'm going to have a discussion in each of these parts. The first one. Upping for it. Particularly it's happened after the financial crisis, and that the financial crisis, according to many scholars, that the soft power has become a key word during this period. And also there is a great potential for the development of China's soft power, so that is called the Beijing Consensus. On another side, on the authoritarian government with a successful market economy has become more popular than the previously dominant, which is the Washington Consensus of the labor market of economies. The labor market of economics, as we know, with the democratic government in the parts of the developing world, but to what extent are the Venezuelan and the Zimbabwe attract to authoritarian government, or do they admire the growth of China's GDP over 3 decades, or are they just induced by the prospect of access to large and growing market? Um, Moreover, even the authoritarian government crude model produced soft power for China in authoritarian countries, but it does not produce attraction in the democratic countries. Um, um, we are, and in this case, we are going to mainly have look through China that is try to enhance its soft power and how it's happened. As we know that there's no lack of Chinese interest in the idea of soft power since the early 19th, where the Communist Party of China the enhanced culture and enhanced the culture as a part of the soft power of our country, and the factor growing which is significant in the competition over all nations is threatened. And during this term, they are entering the rhythm of global popular culture as well as the enrollment of the foreign student in which is it is triple with the past decades, and the number of foreign tourists has been increasing dramatically, and also China has created several hundred institutions around the world to teach its language and culture. And the China radio internationally has increased its broadcast in English. And also China has adjusted its diplomacy a decade ago, and it was a very variety of multilateral arrangements and was at the cross purpose with many of its neighbors. And also it has joined the World Trade Organization, contributed more than 3,000 troops to serve in UN a peacekeeping operation, as well as it joined a variety of the regional organizations with the East Asian Summit. Where the Chinese tried to enhance its soft power by successfully staging the 2008 Olympics in order to attract enhancement its soft power. In 2009, Beijing announced plans to spend billions of dollars to develop global media gains to compete with the Bloomberg, Time Warner, and so many on to use soft power rather than military. And as we mentioned, that the great threats may come from the death by thousand cuts from non-state actors than raising powers. That's mean that it is not surprising that the poll taking in Asia late in 2008 that found China's soft power less than the United States, and it conducted that the China charm offensive has not been effective. This was confirmed by BBC poll of 28 countries in 2010, and that showed a positive China image only in Africa and some parts of Asia, such as Pakistan, and while in most of the Americas, Asia and Europe it was neutral to poor. Despite being blamed for the financial crisis, United States soft power remained greater than the China's, as measured by the Chicago Council on Global Affairs and the BBC polls. Great powers try to use culture and narrative to create soft power that promotes their advantage, but much of it is created by the civil society rather than the government. American soft power reads on a variety of resources that range from Hollywood to Harvard, from Madonna to the Gates Foundation, from the Martin Luther King's speech to the Barack Obama's election. It is not easy for the governments to sell their country's charm if their narrative is inconsistent with the domestic realities. In this dimension, except for its economic success, China is finally, or in result, we can say that China is still has a long way to go. Economic interdependence and power. Um, some analysts they believe that China's impressive success in overcoming the financial crisis and its increased holding of dollars had greatly increased its power over the United States. As some scholars there is speculation, but a careful analysis looks more closely at interdependence and power, which the interdependence it involves short-term sensitivity and long-term vulnerability. So the sensitivities where it is refers to the amount and the pace of the effects of the mutual independence. This is that how quickly does change in one part of the system bring about change in another part of the system. And for making this clear, we can have an example. In 1998, weakness in emerging market in Asia had a contagious effect that undercut other emerging market as distant as Brazil and Russia. And similarly to this, in September 2008, the collapse of Lehman Brothers in New York, it quickly affected markets around the world. In here we can say that a high level of sensitivity, however, it is not the same as a high level of vulnerability. Vulnerability, it is referred to the relative cost of changing, which is the structure of system of interdependence, and the vulnerability of two countries is not necessarily the less sensitivity, but rather the one that would incur lower costs from altering the situation. And also, as we said, in 1998, the United States was sensitive but not vulnerable to the East Asia economic condition, where the financial crisis there cut 0.5% of the United States growth rate, but with the booming economy, the United States could but this booming economy, United States could afford it. Another part that we can have a discussion, it is regarding the financial crisis as had vital effects on what might be called the Wall Street model. The symmetry refers to a situation of the relativity balance as the opposite to the unbalanced dependence. It is that being less dependent can be a source of power. If two parties, for example, if two parties are interdependent, but one is less so than the other, The less independent party as a source of power as long as both value the interdependence relationship, and manipulating the symmetrics of the independence is an important dimension of economic power. Uh, and it is a perfect symmetry and is quite rare. So the most case of the economic interdependence also it involve a potential power relationship. Um, for the global reaction to the financial crisis, that it may still hurt China's power in medium term. Yeah, as China's it increased the financial power, and it may have increased its ability to resist United States entreaties. But despite these dire predictions about the power of China's creditors, it has had little effect on its ability to compel with the United States to change its policies. While China took minor measures to reduce the increase in its holdings of dollars, it was not willing to take the risk of making its currency full convertible for domestic policy reasons. Thus, the yuan is unlikely to challenge the dollar's role as the largest component of the world reserve, which is over 60% in the next decades. As the China gradually increased the domestic consumption rather than relying on export, as it is engine of economic growth, and where the China leaders may begin to feel less dependent than they are now on the United States market as a source of employment, where it is crucial for the internal policy stability, and political bargaining may in time reflect, and it is shifting the degree of this symmetry. For the resulting of economic interdependence and power, we can say that the gain of this shows the importance of the limitation on economic interdependence power, where China could threaten to sell its holdings of dollar and damage the United States economy. But a weakened U.S. economy would mean a smaller market for China's export, and the United States government might respond with the tariffs against China's goods. And moreover, as emerging economies such as India and Brazil find their exports hurt by an undervalued Chinese currency, and also they may use a multilateral forum like the G20 to reinforce the United States position against China. Neither side is in a hurry to break the symmetry of their vulnerability, interdependence, but each country is to jockey to shape the structure and institutional form of their market relations. Yeah. Be aware the policy implications of misleading projections. China's current reputation for power benefits from the projection about the future. Is that some young Chinese use these projections to demand a great share of power now, and they feeling strong that they demand greater accommodation of what they consider their core interests, like you can say in Taiwan, in Tibet, and the South China Sea. So some difficulties that arose between the United States and the China in late 2009 and early 2010 may have been attributable to such perceptions. Such a projection should have been viewed with some skepticism, and the China still lags far behind the United States economically and militarily, and it has a focus its policy primarily on its region and on its economic development. Even if the China's GDP passes of the United States around 2027, these two economies would be technically be equivalent in the size, but not in the compositions. Where the China, we still have a vast underdeveloped countryside, and it's going to begin to face demographic problems from the delayed effect of the one child per couple policy, and it's enforced in the 20th century. And in here, one more important issue that it is indicating in the article, it is about the misperceptions about the financial crisis, that it could lead to policy miscalculation in both Beijing and Washington. Moreover, the Asia has its own internal balance of power, and in this context, many states or governments they continue to welcome an American presence in the region. Then the China leaders, they have to contend with the reactions of the other countries, as well as that we can say some limitation they have created by their own objectives of the economic growth and the need for the external markets and resources. And also it is too aggressive China's military posture that they could produce a countervailing coalition among its neighbors that would weaken both its hard and soft power. As we are talking about hard and soft power, we are a pool of 60 countries around the world found a positive attitude toward China's economic rise, but not its military rise. That these 16 countries, they are positive for the attitude of China's economic raises in terms of soft power. I mean, not hard power. Hard power is the military race. And that the fact is that the China is not likely to become a peer competitor to United States on a global basis, but it does not mean that it could not challenge. The United States in Asia and the danger of the conflict can never be completely ruled out. But as it is, China is as strong side behind the United States, and Bill Clinton was basically right when he told Xi Jinping in 1994 that the global challenges that both China and the United States face, they have much to gain from working together, but herbs and nationalism among some Chinese, as well as unnecessary fear of decline among some Americans, make it difficult to assure this future. Extrapolating the wrong long-term projections from the short-term cyclical events like the recent financial crisis can lead to a costly policy miscalculation. And this is the conclusion. And this is at the end of today's presentation, and thank you for your attention.